Where is Claude? Mom rushed into the house, breathless and anxious. She had not yet fully entered the house when she called out questions. We were all sitting in the living room, and by we I meant my other siblings and I. Claude is the firstborn, and I am the second, in addition to my other brothers and sisters. We don't know. He's been gone since yesterday, I said. Gone where? I don't know, Mom. Probably at Galvin's. Why? What happened? Galvin is Claude's best friend. Oh, I have to call him, Mom said, and went straight to her room. Something was wrong. My other brothers and sisters were already agitated at the sight of this scene, so I calmed them down. Then I joined Mom in the bedroom. What is wrong, Mom? What's going on with Claude? You're scaring us. Mom stopped browsing her phone book for Claude's number and sat down. There was a theft in the neighborhood and Claude's name is mentioned among those of the suspects. I gasped in shock at what I had just heard. The townspeople and the military are thirsty for blood and want to dismantle the gang. One of the camps advocates for popular vindictiveness and the other defends legal measures, Mom said in conclusion. Oh my God, it was the only thing I could say. What are we going to do now? I asked. Look for your brother, but do it discreetly. Okay, Mom. I left and returned to the living room. I informed the others. They were also afraid, but their concern for Claude's safety outweighed the fear. We finally found Claude's trace, but did not ask him to come home. That would be the first place where they would look for him. Mom asked him to meet her in a neutral place. She gave him money to travel out of town and stay off radar. She came home late that day after seeing Claude. She had lines of fatigue all over her face. The dark circles around her eyes accentuated the aging of her face. I took pity on Mom. Being a single parent is not easy, especially when you are a woman. Raising 5 children was no easy task for Mom, but I constantly congratulated her on her mission as a well-accomplished mother and protector. Dad died during the Civil War. He was in the military and had been called up on service when Mom was pregnant with the last child, Jude. Oh, my heart breaks every time I think about the news of Dad's death. It was a Saturday. We were all at home and Mom was cooking even though she was pregnant. Being the only girl, I played wrestling with my brothers. It is in the midst of this atmosphere that the doorbell rang. I couldn't identify the strangers, so I asked Mom to come. She asked us to walk away from the door, saying she would take care of it. We went further into the living room but never took our eyes off her. To our surprise, we saw Mom lose control, in shock, and then her labor started off. It all happened so fast, and the next day, Jude was born. But Daddy's death was the saddest thing ever. Mom had since tried to fill the void left by Daddy's death and raise us to be respectable people, but I could see that it hadn't been easy. Now with Claude's disappearance, I felt like Mom was feeling guilty about failing as a parent. She went straight to her room when she returned late at night without speaking to anyone. I took the liberty of making a cup of tea to calm her nerves and took it to her room. As I approached the door, I heard small sobs coming from inside. I didn't bother to knock. I entered. Mom quickly turned away, trying to wipe away her tears. Mom, are you crying? No, baby. I have dust in my eyes. I knew she was lying, but I didn't insist. I gave her the cup of tea. Here, this will calm your nerves. Thank you, doctor. She joked, taking a sip. I smiled at her joke. I wanted to be a doctor. Everyone in the family knew it, so they called me that way. Hey, it's going to be okay. Nothing will happen to Claude, I reassured her. We spoke again for a while, discussing lighter topics until Mom could smile again. Mom is my best friend and I was glad I could help her relax. I was already in my pajamas, so I decided to spend the night in her room and kept her company. We were getting ready for bed when Mom's phone rang. Hello? Mom, it's me, Claude. They said I was allowed to make a call. I saw Mom freeze. trying to understand the meaning of these words. Claude had been caught by the police? Mom quickly recovered from her state of shock and got details of Claude's whereabouts before she ended the call. She turned to me. "I guess you heard that," she said, and I nodded. I wasn't expecting it, but suddenly she turned cold. Gone was the woman who was laughing a few minutes ago. "I didn't want to marry your father. My family didn't like him and they were always against our marriage," she began to say. Why was she telling me that? I didn't know how to react, so I stayed there and listened. "It said that who finds a wife finds good things and obtains the favor of God. But it has never been peaceful since I married your father. We went from one problem to the other." I was getting uncomfortable. I already had good memories of my father. I didn't want Mom to tamper with it. "Mom, why are you telling me this?" "For you to be wise when choosing a spouse in the future." "But Mom, how does this concern Claude?" "Claude did not steal. He was kidnapped by one of your father's enemies." "What?" "Your father made enemies during his serving time at the army, even if he didn't intend to." It was all so confusing. "But Mom, Dad was a Christian before he died. He always took us to church. It doesn't change the fact that he sowed discord in the hearts of many, and whatever a man sows, he reaps." "Mom, stop talking like that. You can't say that. Have a little faith. Whatever mistakes Daddy might have made, I believe God atoned them. Claude cannot pay for his father's sins." "In fact, he can, my daughter. He can." Mom burst into tears. I was confused as to what to do. I decided to comfort Mom. "What are we going to do now?" I asked after a while. "We are going to need a little miracle," she said. That night, I woke up everyone to an intensive night of prayer. At this point, there were no more secrets to hide. I asked Mom to tell everyone the truth, which she did, and we started to pray. We had a prayer vigil that night. At least that was one of the most important lessons Dad taught us. Taking us to church and instilling in us the fear of God finally paid off. We prayed and prayed for Claude's release. This matter was beyond the law enforcement, and we needed something higher than the police. We needed the Almighty to step in. At about 5:30 in the morning, we closed the night of prayer with thanksgiving and songs. We finished and decided to all sleep in Mom's bed. Much later, the doorbell rang. We heard it after the third ring. We all woke up, then rushed to the door. We opened it and had the shock of our lives. Right before our eyes stood Claude and Daddy. Mom and I were so stunned we froze. Claude walked in and quietly hugged Mom, then me. We were still in shock. Dad quietly walked in and stood in front of Mom. "Hey, beauty," was how he always addressed Mom. Joy filled my heart and tears flooded my eyes at the beautiful scene of my parents reuniting. Much to my shock, Mom raised her hand and slapped Daddy in the face. While we were all confused by this gesture, she walked away. Mom wasn't the type to have tantrums. Dad quickly apologized and went to join her. While they were in the room, we took the opportunity to reconnect with Claude, asking him to tell us what had happened to him. He tried to dodge the subject, saying it was a story only Dad could tell. After what seemed like an eternity, they reappeared in the living room. Dad explained how he miraculously survived an ambush during the war. He had wanted to quit the army, but he didn't know how, so he kept a low profile to make people believe he was dead. However, his cover story didn't last as his enemies soon discovered he had a son, Claude, and they kidnapped him to serve in his father's place. This gesture brought Dad out of his hiding place and confronted them. It was a battle that seemed to be lost, but he and Claude came out of it unscathed. He also explained that they had planned to execute them last night, but strangely enough, the commander unexpectedly entered the cell and released them, vowing never to approach them again. Immediately, last night's prayer crossed my mind, and I told him how at the same time we were in a full prayer here at home. Mom introduced Jude to Dad. Jude gave Dad a hug, and everyone was in tears. Dad had aged a little too, touched by the weight of years, but he still had his strength. That day was for us a day of celebration and thanksgiving, but we remained discreet. No neighbors and no friends, just us, the nuclear family. Faithful to his word, God had worked much more than a miracle. He gave back life to our family.